Hey guys, nice to see you all joining us from class. Home studio today for the first time in a few months, so welcome to my home studio. As always, take class at your own pace. Make sure you have some water nearby if you think you're going to need it. If you get confused or lost at any point, stop, close your eyes, listen to what I'm saying, and then I bet we'll be able to get back on track. So we will start standing today. We're going to get our feet a little bit wider apart than our shoulders, toes pointed slightly out to the side. Let's draw our fingertips down to the floor, and we're going to soften up our knees a little bit. Let those feet sink down into the floor. We're going to think about having a string at the crown of our head, drawing all the way up toward the ceiling and dropping like a plumb line down through that tailbone. All right. We're going to center our weight somewhere between those 2 feet, somewhere between the front of the ankles and where your shoelaces would be if you were wearing sneakers right now. And we're going to roll our shoulders back. Let's take them up, back, and down. Nice big circles. Work out some of those crunchies in the shoulder blades that tend to be there as the weather turns a little colder. One more circle. Draw them down. Take a big breath in, and we'll circle the other way. Let's take those shoulders up, forward, and down. Keep them going. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take a big breath in, reaching those arms up and overhead. We're going to pause them in a Y. You take them to whatever angle feels good. If the elbows need to be a little bit bent, that's all right. We're going to draw the belly back toward the spine, tightening a little seatbelt, the muscles right between those 2 hip bones. And let's take some side bend. We'll take a tall side bend toward one corner of the room, and then take it up and over to the other corner of the room. Take it through a range that feels good, that feels like it's giving you a stretch on the side you're moving away from, but also working the front of the body, working that trunk to keep you upright. Take it up and over to the other side. Let's come up to the Y again. Over to the other side. We're going to drop the arm on the side we're reaching toward, drop it down toward that leg, and then maybe we take it and reach it toward that opposite foot. Take a little diagonal reach. Let's inhale back up to our Y. We'll exhale, side bend to the other side, and let's drop that arm down. Belly stays drawn in, and again, we're going to draw those fingertips down toward the opposite heel. Let's inhale up tall. We're in that nice Y. Let's bring our arms down by our sides. We're going to line our heels up with our hips now. Those feet will be parallel to each other. Lift your toes up. Feel those arches lifting up from the floor. We're going to spread the toes apart. Take them down one at a time, starting with that pinky. The 4th toe, the 3rd toe, the 2nd toe, and then the 1st toe tap down to the floor. Let's wiggle through those toes, taking them up and down, tapping them through to the floor like we're drumming our fingertips on a coffee table. Warm up those arches for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. We press those toes into the floor. Our hand's going to go right to our midsection. We're going to shift the weight toward the toes and toward the heels. Let's place our hands right in that midsection. We're going to press into the belly, leaning forward toward our toes and back toward our heels with one line, a straight line between the head and those ankles. You should feel your trunk muscles kicking in and maybe activating a little bit as we hit those end ranges of our base of support. Coming right back to the center over the middle of those ankle joints, let's take our hands to our waistline now. Fingertips in the front, thumbs pressing into the waistline in the back, and we'll shift side to side. As you shift your feet from foot to foot, you want to see if you can feel those muscles again kicking into your hands. They're going to work a little bit harder on the side you're moving toward. And you may also, if you shift your hands right to the sides of your hips, you'll feel those glute muscles kick in a little bit as we shift our weight. Taking the hands back to the waistline, let's make some circles around our base of support. Keep reaching the crown of the head up toward the ceiling as we go. And let's pause where we are, and then we'll circle the other direction. 4 circles this way. Keeping those big toes and those pinkies on the floor. That's the hardest part with this one as we shift back toward the heels to keep those toes on the floor. It really actually helps the core activate a bit. All right, we're going to shift our weight back over the ankle joints, take the hands down, shake out those knees, and we're going to make our way to one edge of the mat, and now we're going to face lengthwise. Soften up those knees. We're going to keep our heels lined up about with our shoulders. Soften the knees, sticking that bottom back behind the body so it's reaching toward the back of your mat. We're going to take our hands to the fold in the hips. We could place the hands on the belly if you'd like to monitor that core. And we're going to tip the body forward, moving the trunk, head, and neck as one unit. Tip forward till you just start to feel a little stretch behind those sides. Let's hold it there. And then maybe keeping those lower legs nice and still, maybe we bend the knees a bit and then send that tailbone toward the corner where the wall and the ceiling meet. as we straighten our knees a bit. Wiggle up and down, straighten and bend those knees a bit. You should feel some length and some stretching from the back of the sit bones all the way down toward those knees in the back. Let's wiggle for 4, 3, straighten and bend for 2. And last time, tailbone towards the ceiling, soften the knees up again. And keeping the belly drawn in, we're gonna make our way down to the floor. So the hands come to the mat. We're gonna cross forward until we come down to all fours. If you do need something below your knees, you're welcome to double up your mat here. And from this hands and knees position, let's move through a few cats and cows, getting a little bit of pelvic and low back mobility. Curl it up to cat, looking toward those thighs and the belly toward the ceiling, and then reverse to cow. Curl to cat, reverse to cow. Let's take the body back to neutral, keeping the upper half of the body nice and still. Let's wag our tail side to side. Take a hip to a shoulder and the other hip to the other shoulder. We'll keep it going side to side for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take it right back to neutral with that belly drawn in. We'll bring our feet together, our knees apart, and take the bottom back toward the heels. Walk those hands toward the front of your mat, and let's draw that forehead toward the mat as we take a big breath in. Feel the ribs open up behind the body. We'll exhale, bringing the body a little closer to the mat, and let's bend our forearms. Bend those elbows. Shift the weight over the forearms. We're gonna take our legs down behind us and turn over onto our back. Once we're on our backs, let's bend up our knees, lining the heels up with our hips. We'll take our hands down by our sides and reset those abdominal muscles. We're gonna tighten that seatbelt of muscles between the belly button and that pubic bone. Keep them a little bit active here, little activity as we rock those knees toward the screen and away. Keep the shoulder blades pressed into the mat, and we wanna think about taking our collarbone and stretching it away from the center of the body. Take those knees side to side with the belly drawn down for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's come right back to the center. That belly stays drawn in. We're gonna bring one knee up to 90 degrees, take the other knee up to tabletop to meet it, and let's hover those hands up off the floor and stretch them toward the wall in front of us. Maybe we straighten those knees to the ceiling until we find that barrier to stretch behind our thighs. We're gonna hold it there, nodding the chin, and let's lift the head up off the mat as we pat our hands up and down. Let's inhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep those hands moving. Keep in mind those legs could be at various positions. We could have the knees straight and those feet reaching toward the wall in front of us for a greater challenge. Legs could be reaching up to the ceiling with a 90-degree angle at the hips. The knees could be bent to tabletop. We could also have one or both feet down as a kickstand or greater support for that trunk. Keep going with that bouncing. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Let's flip our palms over, 3 more big breaths. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Last one. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause where you are. Keep those hands lifted off the mat and stretch toward the wall. Let's bend our knees to tabletop if they're already not there. We're gonna lower that upper body down if it's been up. Let's pull that knee farthest from the screen in toward the chest, and we're gonna slide that near leg all the way down along the mat. Press the back of the knee into the floor, and you should notice if you squeeze that glute in particular on that straight leg, squeeze that cheek, you're gonna feel an opening and a stretch through the front of that hip. Hold it there. Big breath in. As we exhale, we're gonna draw that belly down a little farther. We're gonna hover our straight leg heel off the mat, and let's take that leg side to side, out to the screen, back to the center. Keep going side to side at your own pace. If you'd like to nod the chin and lift the head, you are welcome to do that. One more time, out to the side, back to the center, and we'll move that leg in small circles. Keep reaching those feet toward the wall in front of us. We can circle the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're gonna draw that straight leg down to the mat, bring that upper body down if it's been lifted, and keeping that belly in, we'll bring that other knee in to meet the other bent knee. Let's slide that opposite leg out along the mat, tightening up the front of that newly straightened thigh and squeezing the cheek. Squeeze that glute on the straight leg, pulling into that hip flexor a bit. We're gonna give it a little bit of length, hold it there. Big breath in. As we exhale again, we draw the belly down a little further. We hover that foot up off the mat, and let's take that leg side to side, out and in. Keep it going. We're going to keep the trunk as still as we can as that leg moves. If you'd like to nod the chin and lift the head, you're welcome to. We move that straight leg in circles now. Draw those circles on the wall in front. Gaze towards your foot if your head is on the floor. We're going to circle the other direction if your head is up. Excuse me. If your head is on the floor, we're going to nod that chin. Look down towards your chin. Last circle. Let's stretch that straight leg all the way to the mat. We'll fold that upper body down if it's been lifted. And then let's take that bent knee and straighten it, bringing our leg up to the ceiling. Let's flex and point at that foot. Keep that straight leg that's on the floor nice and active. Keep the front of that thigh pressing the knee straight so that the back of the knee comes toward the floor. Point those toes to the ceiling, and then keeping the belly down, we're going to take our hands up to the ceiling as well. The chin draws down and those shoulder blades draw down to the floor. Let's take our lifted leg, move it side to side. We're doing our best here to keep the bones in the back of the pelvis anchored firmly into the floor as we go. Side to side with that leg. We could hover that supporting foot up off the floor for an additional core challenge. I'll leave that up to you. And let's make some circles with that moving leg. You also, don't be afraid to bend that knee if you need a little more slack in your system. Good, one more circle this direction. We'll pause at the top, inhale. And as we exhale, let's circle the other way. Reach those toes to the ceiling. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're reaching those toes up. Let's lower that hovered leg all the way to the floor. We're going to hold on to the back of that thigh on the side we just stretched. Keeping the belly drawn in, we'll bring our opposite leg up to meet that lifted leg. Hang on to the other thigh, and we'll extend that opposite leg down to the floor, tightening up the front of that thigh as we press that leg into the mat. And let's flex and point our second foot. Feel the length from that sit bone all the way to the knee, maybe even all the way to that ankle as we flex and point. Point the toes to the ceiling, hold it there. Belly stays drawn down, arms come up to the ceiling again. Again, we reset that chin down, those shoulder blades down, and feel the bones in the back of the pelvis anchor into the floor as we take that second leg side to side, toward the wall, toward the screen. Side to side, keep it moving. Last 2 here. Out to the side, back to the center. Let's move through circles. Again, challenging yourself if you like by adding that leg hover on that straight leg. Lift that heel up off the floor a bit if you can. Again, adjust the angle of your knee on that moving leg if you need to. Pause at the top, breathing in. As we exhale, we'll circle the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to lower that hovered heel to the mat again. Hold on behind that lifted thigh. Nod that chin. If you'd like to lift the upper body, you're welcome to. We'll hover that supporting leg off the floor again, and let's move through our scissors straight leg stretch, lifting and switching, drawing that opposite leg toward the floor. Lift and switch. Try to keep your heel hovered off the floor as best you can. It's always okay to have those knees bent a little bit as we move through that arc of motion. If the knees are bent, try to keep them bent the same amount throughout that hip motion. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's pull those knees back to tabletop, holding on behind the thighs. If you've had that upper body up, let's draw it to the mat while maintaining that chin nod. And now with the belly down, we're also going to think about lowering that breastbone toward the floor a bit. Let's take our hands down by our sides. They're going to be out at about a 45-degree angle from the body. Shins are parallel to the ceiling. And let's press the hand closest to the screen into the floor, letting the lower half of the body rotate away from the screen. That hip could lift up a little bit on the screen side. Push the other hand into the floor, and we'll translate the lower half of the body the other direction. Let's rock that lower half side to side, keeping those shoulder blades firmly anchored into the mat. So we're moving from right below that belly button. Side to side for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's take it back to the middle. Thighs are parallel to each other. We're going to straighten our knees to that first barrier of stretch behind the thighs. Hold them there with the belly drawn in. We'll take our hands down by our sides. And now we're going to move our feet together. Draw 2 lines together on the ceiling. Take the legs toward the screen. Take them away. This time, try to keep the lower hip part of the back on the mat. Try not to let your cheeks lift up. We're just moving from the hip joints for 4, for 3, 2, and 1. Let's make some clockwise circles on the ceiling, moving those feet together. Keep that belly down. We could challenge it further by hovering our hands up a couple of inches off the floor. Pause with the feet up to the ceiling, big breath in. Exhaling, let's circle the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to the ceiling, circle them in opposite directions of each other. If those knees are bent, it may almost feel like a breaststroke kick. Pause at the top, inhale. Exhaling, let's circle the other way. Here's 4, and 3, and 2. Last one. Hang on behind those thighs. We'll bend our knees, pull them into the chest, give them a gentle rock side to side. Good. Let's take them back to the middle. Let's hold on to each of our kneecaps. We're going to stir those hips in their sockets a little bit. Make some circles. Use your arms to drive that motion. And we can circle the other direction. Get a little inner thigh stretch. Just let those hip flexors release. They've been helping us a bit here. We'll pull into the center for one more hug, and let's bring our knees back up to tabletop. Hold them here. Good. We're going to take our hands and press them into the outsides of the thighs here. Hold them still. Belly draws down. Press your hands and knees toward each other. Hold it there, dropping those shoulder blades down to the floor. Good. Big breath in, big breath out. We're now going to switch our pressure to the front of the thighs, just below those kneecaps, just a little bit closer to the hips. Again, press the hands and the thighs toward each other. And as you press your hands toward your thighs, almost also add a little bit of an upward pressure. That's going to get you into those muscles right above that pubic bone a little bit more versus the others getting into those upper abdominals a little bit. We're going to hold here for a breath. And then as we exhale, we're going to press our hands into our inner thighs. Hands and thighs press in toward each other. Belly stays drawn down. Hold it here for a big breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to bring ourselves back to tabletop, and let's take our arms to the ceiling. Big breath in. Belly draws down on the exhale. Let's take one arm back overhead and stretch the opposite leg forward for a nice long diagonal. Bring them back to the center. Switch it up. Opposite arm and leg extend away. Back to the center. Open it up. Diagonal. If you'd like to nod the chin and lift that head, you are welcome to do so. Let's switch those angles for 4. Switch and reach for 3. Here's 2. And here's 1. Let's pull those arms to the ceiling, knees to tabletop. Upper body comes down if it's lifted, and now we're going to flex our feet. Keeping the belly down, we take one or both, heels to the floor, and then lift them back up. Opposite foot or both, come down to the floor, lift them back up. Keep that going at your own pace. If you're doing one at a time, let's alternate them. If you're doing 2 at a time, if you want to progress it, we could take those arms back overhead as the heels come forward, and then back to the ceiling with an inhale. Open up, arms back, heels down. Inhale back up to the ceiling. Last 2. Take them back up. Last time, heels to the floor. We're going to leave our heels on the floor. Take the toes down as well. Let's stretch those arms back overhead, keeping the belly and the breastbone down. Keep your elbows straight as long as you can. Only take those arms back as far as you can with straight elbows. We're going to keep reaching those fingertips back, and let's drop those shoulder blades to the floor. Hold them here. Big breath in. As we exhale, we're going to take our arms up to the ceiling and then down to the mat right by our bottom. Let's inch our heels a little closer to our sit bones till those shins are almost vertical, just shy of a vertical position. Drop the shoulder blades to the floor. And then with the belly drawn in, we're going to press our heels through the mat, lifting up into bridge. Find that stretch point through the top of the thigh. If you feel anything in your lower back, let's lower the bottom a little closer to the mat. Inhale, exhale, bridge it down. Let's bridge up and down here at your own speed. The goal is to keep this motion activated and driven by your gluteal muscles, by those cheeks, versus letting your hamstrings, the back of the thighs, do the work. The more the glutes can work, the less tendency you're going to have to cramp in those thighs. If you're still cramping, lift your toes all the way up off the floor. Only leave those heels down. Let's lift and hold at the top. Feel that length through the front of the thighs as the kneecaps reach toward the wall in front of us. Now that hip closest to the screen is going to rotate down to the mat, and we'll lift it back up. Opposite hip rotates down. Take it back up. Let's take them side to side. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift both hips to the ceiling, breathing in. Exhale, bridge it down. Inhale at the bottom, releasing those glutes. Exhale, bridge back up, hold it at the top. We're going to keep everything still except for that right thigh. Knee is going to come out to the side, keep that foot flat on the floor. Breathe it back into the center and exhale, opposite knee out. Bring it to the center. Take them side to side here, keep those hips lifted. Move at your own speed. You will feel that glute working a bit more on the side that's moving. Take them back to the center. We're going to pulse our hips to the ceiling for 8, 7, 6, 5. Press those heels down. 3, 2, and 1. Bridge it down. Release the bottom at the bottom of the motion. Let those glutes relax, and let's take our knees side to side. We can take a few deep breaths here. Let's come right back to the middle. We're going to finish our bridges with a series of marching. If you're not comfortable with marching, with actually lifting a foot up and down off the floor, that's okay. We can stick with regular bridges. We will draw the belly down again, press your heels down, lift up into your bridge. If you're marching, keep those hips as still as you can. We'll lift a knee to tabletop and then take it back down and then switch to the other side. Let's keep it going. Feel free to add some extension if you'd like to reach that lifted leg towards the ceiling. We're pressing our blades down into the floor. If this is not challenging for you, which it is for me, those hands can reach to the ceiling. You have to really focus on pressing your heel versus your toes down if that arm is lifted. Take them up and down, switch them again for 4, for 3, last 2 marches, and 1. Let's take that second foot, press it into the mat for a big breath in. Exhale, bridge it down. Release the glutes at the bottom. Let's move through our pelvic clock mobility work. Take that pubic bone, shorten it up to the breastbone, 12 o'clock on that clock face. Lengthen the pubic bone down toward the floor, 6 o'clock. Shorten and lengthen, 12 to 6. And again, one more time, 12 to 6. Take it back to neutral. Rock that pelvis from 3 o'clock, sending the belly button and the hip on the opposite side toward the screen. And then switch it up. The goal here is to keep those thighs nice and still as that pelvic rocks side to side, 3 to 9. One more time. Back to the center, big breath in. As we exhale, we're going to roll over to hands and knees. And just like we did at the beginning of class during our kind of warm up, we can fold up that mat if you need a little bit more padding under your knees. We're going to get ourselves set here, and let's move through a few cats and cows, easing our core into working with a different orientation. Curl it up, reverse that curve, take it back to neutral, wag that tail side to side, hip to shoulder, hip to shoulder. Take it back to neutral. Let's thread the needle. Take the arm closest to the screen, open it to the side, follow it up to the ceiling as best you can. Find any restriction through the trunk, the ribs, that chest. And as we breathe out, we'll reach that arm through toward the other wall. Inhale, take it up and out. Exhale and reach. 2 more here. Inhale, up and out. Exhale, reach. Last one, up and out, reaching that arm. Thread it through. Let's come back to hands and knees, breathing in. Exhale, opposite arm comes out. Follow it up. Reach it through toward the screen. Inhale, up and out. Exhale and reach. Inhale, up and out. Exhale and reach. One final time. Inhale, up and out. Exhale, reach. Let's take it back to hands and knees, keeping that belly drawn in. Let's squeeze our shoulder blades together and then press them forward. Squeeze them back, press them forward. Squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Last 2, squeeze and press. Squeeze and press, single arm. Let's take that hand closest to the screen up to the thigh. Square those shoulders off to the floor. And again, we'll squeeze and press through those blades. Feel free to take that second hand down if you do need more support. One more time on this side, squeeze and press. Let's switch our hands. Opposite hand to the thigh, square those shoulders off to the floor. Squeeze and press. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Press toward the floor, hands come down. Let's take the leg closest to the screen, back behind the body, and stretch that opposite arm forward for a nice long diagonal. Switch it up. Reach. Just like we did when we were on our back with the diagonal reaches, we're trying to get that hand as far away from the opposite foot as we can get it. Keep it going. We're gonna hold that next one up there. Let's switch hands. Keep that leg right where it is. We'll alternate our arms. Lift and reach, switch and reach. Keep that leg reaching back toward the wall behind you. That weight shift is something to play around with. Even if you can't lift that same side hand all the way up, taking it off the floor briefly or going up to your fingertips is gonna work it as well. All right, let's take it down. We're gonna switch legs, take that opposite leg behind the body. We'll start with the opposite arm forward. Square yourself off, find your balance point, and then let's see if we can switch. Shift, lift that arm or just up to fingertips. Shift to the other arm. Keep it moving. And reach. One more to each side. Let's lift that other arm back to our diagonal. Hands and knees come down, curl into cat, reverse it to cow. One last time to curl to cat, reverse it to cow. Let's come back to hands and knees, belly draws in. We're gonna come forward a little farther on our mat, toward the front of the mat. Let's take one foot back behind us. So we're in almost a one-legged plank with that opposite knee on the ground. Keep that thigh of the straight leg nice and active in front. And let's see if we can press our hands and our toes on that straight leg into the mat, just enough to unweight that opposite knee. Take it back down. Unweight, take it back down. Two more. Unweight the knee, let it come down. Last one, unweight the knee, let it come down. Switch it up. Opposite foot comes back, toes to the floor. Belly stays in, press through those toes, unweight the bent knee, lower it to the mat. Press and unweight, and lower. Last two, lower it down. Last one, press and unweight, lower it down. Let's take our knees back to the floor. Let's crawl back toward the center of our mat again, and we're gonna come down to our forearms. Head is lower than your hips. If this doesn't feel good on your head, you can come back to hands and knees for these next few leg exercises. We're gonna keep ourselves nice and supported by drawing that belly in and try to keep those forearms parallel to each other as best we can. We're gonna shift away from our screen and take that leg closest to the screen with a bent knee up and down. Lift it up, press, control it back down. Lift and press, control it down. One more time, lift and lower. Lift and hold, thigh stays still, hamstring curls, straighten and bend the knee. Keep it going. Feel the back of your thigh working, feel your glute working to keep that thigh lifted. Bend and pulse to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take that knee down, switch it up. Opposite leg stays bent, press to the ceiling, lower it to the floor. Press it up and lower. Two more here. Press and lower. Lift that thigh up, hold it there, hamstring curl, straighten and bend. Heel to the bottom. Straighten and bend. Two more here. Last one. Straighten, bend to 90, kick the heel to the ceiling, pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take that knee down. Press the bottom back toward the heels. You're welcome to open up those knees a bit to give your hips a little more room. We're going to lower that forehead down toward the floor. Keep your elbows and ears lined up with each other as best you can. Big breath in, big breath out. Let's walk our hands toward the screen. Little side bend, another inhale, feeling yourself open up on the side away from the side you're moving toward. Let's move the hands to the other side. Take a big breath into the side you're moving away from. As we exhale, we'll come back to that forward reaching position. And let's come up and make our way into a seated position. Knees are going to be bent. We'll line up our heels with our sit bones. Hold it here. Hang on behind your thighs like you're holding a nice round beach ball. The belly stays drawn in, and we're going to flex and point our toes and our feet. As you flex your feet, you'll find that you can kind of use momentum to rock back a little bit. If you want to flex firmly enough that you can actually get those heels up off the floor without toppling backwards like a little rolling pin, let's try. Lift and lower, lift and lower. All right, keeping the feet flat on the floor now, that belly stays drawn in. We're going to take our hands to the outsides of the thighs Extend those elbows a bit. Lean back a bit till you feel your core working. You want to feel like you can keep that belly drawn back versus feeling like it's pushing forward towards your knees. Let's press our hands and our knees toward each other. Open up the arm on the side closest to the screen. Maybe we look over that shoulder. You should feel your side muscles working on the side that's pushing into where the hand's pushing into the knee. Take that hand back to your leg and then open the other one out to the side. Take it to the center, opposite arm reaches. One more time to the other side. Reach. Let's take it up nice and tall. Sit up tall. Let's bring our legs up to a narrow V at each of the front corners of your mat. Knees can be bent if you need them to be so to get aligned vertically over those sit bones. If you can straighten them, go ahead. We're going to take our hands, reach them up with the arms parallel to the floor. The hands are going to be out in that same narrow V lined up with your feet. Let's hinge slightly forward, just enough that we get a hamstring stretch. And let's come up tall. Hinge it forward. Take it up. Last two. Last one. Take it up. We're going to bring our arms out to the sides, almost to a T. The hands are going to be slightly in front of your trunk. Moving from that breastbone, we're going to keep our sit bones on the floor. Let's rotate our trunks toward the screen. Rotate them away. Rotate them toward. Rotate them away. One more time to each. Rotate them toward. Rotate them away. Coming back to the center, we'll take our hands down. We're going to bring our knees together. Bend them up. We're going to keep our hands pressed into the floor. Inch that bottom forward a little if you can. Elbows are going to stay straight and the blades are going to squeeze. So if you do need to bring your bottom back in line with your hands a little bit more, that's okay. If you have a little more slack, you can take up from your system. We could inch that bottom forward quite a bit. All right, squeeze those blades, send your breastbone to the wall in front of you. We're going to close our time in this position with 3 deep breaths. You can do it with your bottom on the floor, or we could press up into that reverse tabletop. Wherever you are, take a big breath in. Exhale. Again, big breath in. Breathe it out. One last time, big breath in. On that exhale, the bottom comes down. Let's turn toward our screen and we'll make our way up to our knees. Again, if you do need to double up the padding to give yourself a little more cushion below your knees, you're welcome to do so. We're going to start up nice and tall with our hands up on our hips. Let's hold here. We're going to roll our shoulders back a few times. And then let's shoot those arms up to the ceiling. As those fingertips reach up, our blades come down and we can rock side to side. Picture a tree swaying in the breeze with those fingertips reaching up toward each corner of the room and then tall up to the ceiling. Take them side to side. Last one. Take those hands up to the ceiling. Arms come down by the sides. Let's take our hands to our hips and extend one leg out with a straight knee toward the edge of your mat. We're going to lower that hip toward the floor, square them off, and let's hinge. Take the body forward. Squeeze that cheek, come up nice and tall. Take it forward. Bring it up. Again, hinge forward. Take it up. Hinge it forward. Bring it up tall. Arms come out in a T shape. We're going to rotate from the upper body. Keep that pelvis facing directly forward. We're going to rotate our breastbone toward our straight leg. Rotate toward the bent knee. There's definitely going to be a difference in how far you can rotate toward the bent side or toward the straight side. 2 more times. Rotate. Opposite way. Last one. Rotate. Opposite way. Let's come back up. Arms out to the side. Let's take a side bend. And then come up and over to that straight leg. Side bend and reach. You're welcome to lift that toe up off the floor. Stretch it toward that bend, that straight leg. 2 more here. Side bend, reach. Up and over. Last one. Side bend and reach. Up and over. We're going to come up nice and tall. Let's take our hands to the floor in front of us. Hold it here. With that straight leg right where it is, let's rock the bottom back toward the heels and then come up tall. We're going to do that 3 more times before we switch sides. Rock it back, take it up. Last 2, heel to the bottom, bring it back up. And last one, heel to the bottom, come up. Let's bring that knee in. We're going to come back up to our tall kneeling position, roll those shoulders back again. And with the hands on the hips, let's take that opposite foot out to the side and drop that hip toward the floor, finding that hip flexor length and inner thigh length, excuse me. And let's hinge. Let's take that body forward. Bring it up nice and tall. Hinge it forward. Take it up. 2 more here, hinge. Bring it up. Last one, hinge it forward. Take it up tall. Hold it here, arms come out to the side. Let's rotate that breastbone toward our straight leg. Rotate toward that bent knee. Rotate toward the straight leg. Turn it the other way. 2 more times to each side. Rotate and switch. Last one, rotate. Switch. Let's face forward. Big breath in and exhale. Side bend toward the bent knee. Take it up and over. Again, side bend and reach. Up and over. 2 more here. Side bend, reach. Take it up. Last one, side bend, reach. Up and over. Let's come up nice and tall, hands to the hips. We'll hinge forward, bringing our hands to the floor. And we're gonna rock that bottom toward the heel and take it back up. Rock the bottom back, take it up. As always, rock through a range that feels good to you, that feels productive. One more time, back. Take it up. Hands are going to come to the hips. We'll come up nice and tall. Bring those knees together toward that tall kneel. Drop the hands toward the floor and flip the palms toward the screen. Let's take our hands back to the wall behind us. We're going to squeeze our blades, pulse those hands back for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Big breath in. Exhale, arms come down. Let's make our way down onto our sides. Hitting the home stretch. All right. We'll line up our upper body on that lower arm. Knees are in front, bent, and heels are lined up with that bottom. We're going to lift our waistline up from the mat a little bit. And with the belly and pelvis facing that screen, let's move to our clamshells. Top knee comes up and down. Lift and lower. Good. 2 more. Lift and lower. Let's take that top hand, press it into the floor. Both knees lift up and down. Trunk stays facing the screen. Good. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees are down, feet lift up. Top knee again comes up and down. Pull from that top cheek. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Knees and feet come down. Lift that waistline a bit more. Fire hydrant lift. Top shin comes up and down. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Knee comes to hip height. Hinge it forward toward the shoulder, backward toward the wall. Forward and back. Keep it moving. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back. Let's move that leg in circles. Move in and out of that hip joint. 4 times each direction. Should be feeling a good burn in that hip by now. Let's reverse it. We'll go the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's line that leg up. Pat that hip out a bit. We're going to straighten both legs out. We're going to combine 2 movements here. We're going to take that top leg up, bring the bottom leg up, bottom leg down, top leg down. Top leg lift, bottom leg lift, lower and down. Here's 4 and 3. Last 2 and 1. All right, take them down, bend the knees up, pat that hip out. Let's take ourselves up and over to the other side. All right, let's line it up again. Head rests on that bottom arm, knees are forward, heels line up with the bottom. Lift up that waistline a bit, and we'll take it into our clamshell, top knee up and down. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees down, take that top hand, press it to the floor, lift both knees up and down, trunk faces the screen. Good, here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees down, feet lift, top knee again comes up and down. Keep that knee moving. Here's 3, and 2, And 1, knees and feet come down, fire hydrant lift, take that shin up and down. Here's 4, keep that waistline lifted. Here's 3, 2, and 1, back to hip height, knee stays bent, hinge it forward, draw it back. We can take that bottom leg forward a bit more if it helps you with stability. We're trying to keep that back from arching here. Good. Here's 3, 4, oops. Last one, there's 6. Now we're gonna roll in circles with that hip. 4 times each direction. Keep that knee bent. One more time. Reverse it, circle the other way. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring them down. Straighten out those legs. 4-part lift. Top leg up, bottom leg up. Bottom leg down, top leg down. Lift, lift, lower, and lower. Here's 4. Here's 3. Last 2. Lost an AirPod there. Hold on. All right. Bend those knees up, pat that hip out, and let's roll to our backs. As we move toward our cool down, we'll do a little pelvic mobility lying on our back. Bend those knees up, lining the heels with the hips. Let's rock 12 to 6 through our pelvic clock. Lengthening and shortening from that pubic bone as best we can. Take the pelvis back to neutral and we'll wiggle it from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Little rotation through those hips as the knees stay nice and still. Take it back to neutral. Let's take our knees toward the screen and away. And again. Take them back to the ceiling. We're going to cross that knee closest to the screen over the other leg, ankle to knee. Press out to the side, rotating through that hip. We could lift up into figure 4 if you have a little more room to move. Take a big breath. Exhale. Let's unwind those feet, opposite ankle to knee. Draw that knee out for a little rotation. Lift up into that figure 4 if you can. Hold for a big breath. Exhale. Let's bring our feet down. We're going to turn ourselves over to hands and knees. We can rock through a cat and control to a cow. Come back to the middle. We're going to turn our toes under. Make our way up to our feet. Let's get the weight over the front of the ankle joints for stability before we stand up. And finishing with balance, if you'd like to find something to hold on to give you a little more stability, you are absolutely welcome to do so. Heels are lined up with our sit bones. We're going to bend those knees a little bit, stick that bottom back to the wall behind you. Take your hands right to your glutes. Maybe we'll take our feet a little farther apart and let's shift the weight from foot to foot. Feel your bottom kick into your hands as you do so. Take it side to side. Good. All right, let's shift to one side. See if we can tap the opposite toes out and in. And as always, you are welcome to have that hinge be as much or as little as you need to. Tap the toes for 4, for 3, there's something different today, for 2. And for 1, we're going to keep those toes out. We'll switch our weight to the other side. Feel that hip kick in, and we'll tap the other toes side to side. Try to keep your knee lined up right over that ankle joint versus letting it collapse in toward the other leg. Here's 4, good job. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Let's come back to the center, stand up tall. We're going to shift our weight to one side. Let's stand with one heel right in front of the opposite toes. If you need to hold on to something, it's always perfectly fine to do so. Let's hold here if you want to progress this, and we'll close our eyes for 3, 2, 1. Opening up those eyes, let's switch feet, leading with the other foot in front. Find your balance point, hold something if you need to. If you want to progress it, close those eyes for 3, 2, and 1. Let's open them up. Shift those feet apart, shake those legs out. Nice work, everybody. We'll close with our feet a little wider than our shoulders. Take a big breath in, arms come up and overhead. We're going to cross the palms, press into the ceiling, and drop our blades down. Let's take a tall side bend to one corner, lift it up, and a tall side bend to the other corner. As we bring those hands to the ceiling, we'll take them away from each other, reach those fingertips up. One more big breath in. Exhale, bring them into our center. Feet are together. All right. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. It was kind of nice to bring this to you from home again after so long.